For many years, one royal family member remained largely out of sight, even as the rest of the monarchy dominated headlines. While scandals, family conflicts, and glamorous weddings kept the spotlight on others, Prince Edward managed to stay unnoticed. He avoided drama and maintained a quiet presence. That all changed recently when 5 simple but powerful words brought him into the center of public attention. I tried to warn her. Suddenly, everyone wanted answers. Who was he referring to? What was the warning about? And what prompted the Queen's youngest son to break his silence after so long? The royal world is buzzing and there's much to unpack. It turns out that many people once assumed Queen Elizabeth II had only 3 children: King Charles, Prince Andrew, and Princess Anne, mostly because Prince Edward rarely appeared in the media. While his siblings often made news for their royal roles or personal controversies, Edward stayed behind the scenes, never causing a stir. But recently, his quiet approach took a sharp turn. Without warning, those 5 words I tried to warn her captured attention across the media. It left people guessing who he meant and what the warning was about. Curiosity spread quickly as the public tried to connect the dots. Speculation has largely centered on Meghan Markle. Since she and Prince Harry stepped away from royal duties in 2020, tensions with the royal family have been hard to ignore. Many believe Edward's words may have been directed at Meghan. Although he hasn't confirmed the context, a few things he said in recent years now seem especially significant. He once described the situation with Harry and Meghan as very sad, acknowledging the emotional difficulty they faced and pointing out that family problems are often complex. He also wished them well, suggesting a level of understanding beneath the surface. When Harry and Meghan named their daughter Lilibet, using the Queen's private family nickname, Edward congratulated them and called it fantastic news. Still, there was an underlying sense that the choice caused some quiet discomfort within the royal household, even if no one spoke openly about it. Edward also mentioned how difficult it is when private matters play out in public, highlighting how every family member is forced into the spotlight and how everyone handles that pressure differently. Many felt these remarks were subtle references to the very public scrutiny surrounding Harry and Meghan's departure. Then came the moment when Edward and his wife, Sophie, were asked about Meghan and Harry's interview with Oprah. Instead of engaging directly, they answered with humor. Edward replied with a dry, "Oprah who?" and Sophie added, "What interview?" Later, Sophie even defended the Archbishop of Canterbury, who had unknowingly spoken with Oprah at the royal wedding without recognizing her. She noted that not everyone in the UK watches talk shows. Though the comment was meant to be light, it sparked conversation and revealed their preference for keeping things low-key, even in the face of controversy. Following the departure of Harry and Meghan and Prince Andrew stepping back from public life, Edward and Sophie began taking on more duties. They started appearing more frequently at public events and represented the family in a growing number of official engagements. After Prince Philip's passing, they were among the first to speak to the media. Over time, they've become more prominent and have even been described as the monarchy's quiet new representatives. While others in the family were surrounded by drama, Edward and Sophie continued working with quiet dedication without headlines. Without spectacle, just consistent loyalty. Despite their low profile, those 5 words I tried to warn her have pulled attention back to Edward. Whether it was a caution that went ignored or something he now wishes he had spoken louder, one thing is certain. After years of silence, people are finally listening. With interest in him growing, many are now wondering who exactly is Prince Edward the Royal, who quietly became the Duke of Edinburgh. In 2023, Prince Edward was officially granted a title once held by his late father, Prince Philip. On his 59th birthday, King Charles honored him with the Dukedom of Edinburgh, one of the most prestigious and historic titles in the royal family. Buckingham Palace confirmed that this title will be Edward's for life. His wife Sophie, now, becomes the Duchess of Edinburgh. Together, the couple is expected to carry forward the legacy of Prince Philip, especially through their work supporting youth and promoting equal opportunities for people of all backgrounds. The title itself carries deep historical weight. It was originally granted to Prince Philip in 1947 upon his marriage to Princess Elizabeth. For 5 years before becoming queen, she was known as the Duchess of Edinburgh. So this passing of the title holds more than ceremonial value. It's a symbolic tribute, linking Edward not only to his father but also to Queen Elizabeth. What's especially interesting is how long this moment has been anticipated. Many people expected that Prince Edward would one day become the Duke of Edinburgh, but for many years, he retained the title of Earl of Wessex, which he received on his wedding day in 1999. This made him the only son of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip who wasn't given a dukedom, while his brothers, King Charles and Prince Andrew, became the Dukes of Cornwall and York, respectively. The question of why Edward didn't receive a dukedom puzzled many. The answer, however, turned out to be both surprising and personal. A royal insider once revealed that Edward was originally intended to become the Duke of Cambridge, but after watching the film Shakespeare in Love, he was charmed by a character named Lord Wessex, taken by the name Edward. Reportedly asked his mother if he could be given that title instead. Queen Elizabeth agreed, and he became the Earl of Wessex. Interestingly, Wessex isn't a modern-day region. In the UK it was an ancient Anglo-Saxon kingdom associated with Arthurian legend and often mentioned in the novels of Thomas Hardy. By choosing a title drawn from legend instead of geography, Edward revealed his individuality, someone less concerned with tradition and more drawn to personal meaning. Still, many viewed the earldom as a placeholder. After Prince Philip's death, the Dukedom of Edinburgh reverted to the crown, effectively putting it in the hands of King Charles. As king, Charles had the authority to decide whether or not to pass it on. Although he wasn't obligated to do so, many hoped he would fulfill the original intention that Edward would inherit the title. That wish has now been honored. In many ways this balances the roles of the royal brothers. While Charles serves as monarch and Andrew maintains his title despite various controversies, Edward has quietly remained dedicated, avoiding drama and headlines. His new title feels like long overdue recognition of his quiet loyalty and strong connection to both of his parents. The royal family's official website has been updated to reflect Edward's new role. While royal titles may not mean much to the average person within the monarchy, they represent history, responsibility, and tradition. For Edward and Sophie, becoming the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh marks the beginning of a new chapter, one rooted in legacy and public service. It's a continuation of their shared commitment to the royal family's values. Yet behind every public figure is someone who offers emotional grounding. For Edward, that person has always been Sophie. Through the many ups and downs of royal life, she has remained his constant support. Together, they've become one of the most respected and stable couples in the monarchy. In a world where royal marriages are often tested by pressure and public scrutiny, Edward and Sophie's relationship has not only endured but thrived. On June 19, 2024, they celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary stronger than ever and deeply committed to one another. Their bond stands as a true testament to lasting love, mutual respect, and friendship. Earlier that year, in March, Edward turned 60, and the deep emotional connection between him and Sophie was evident. As they move forward in their roles, their partnership continues to be a quiet yet powerful force within the royal family, rooted in love, service, and loyalty to the legacy they now carry forward. During a royal event in Leeds, Sophie offered her husband Prince Edward a rare and touching tribute. She called him the best father, the most loving husband, and her closest friend. She expressed how honored and proud they both felt to receive the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh titles from the king. Her emotional words visibly moved Edward, especially when she compared him to his late father, Prince Philip. Two men deeply committed to their families and royal duties. She ended her toast with a simple yet heartfelt line: "Here's to you, my darling Edward. May I, along with your family, friends, and so many others, wish you the happiest of birthdays." Edward, too, shared his feelings openly. Speaking on Alan Titchmarsh's radio show, he described his family as brilliant and emphasized his deep love and pride for Sophie, Lady Louise, and James. Their relationship has endured many challenges, including personal losses, public attention, and various struggles, yet they've remained united. In fact, they are the only one of Queen Elizabeth II's 4 children still married to their first spouse. Their story began when Edward was 23 and met 22-year-old Sophie Rhys-Jones in 1987 at Capital Radio, where she worked in public relations. At the time, Edward was dating one of her friends, and no romance sparked between them initially. Their true connection began 6 years later, in 1993, when Sophie was hired to manage publicity for one of Edward's charity events, a real tennis match. They found common ground through a shared love of sports, nature, and the arts. Their first real date was reportedly a tennis game followed by dinner at Buckingham Palace. By the end of that year, rumors of their relationship began to circulate, with biographer Andrew Morton being among the first to notice. As media attention increased, Edward made an unusual move by releasing a public statement asking the press for privacy. He stressed that his private life deserved protection and, above all, requested respect for Sophie. Their bond grew stronger, and in 1994, Sophie joined Edward at Lord Ivor Mountbatten's wedding, even appearing in a car with Princess Margrethe. Significant moment, given Margaret's selective nature. That same year, Sophie also attended the wedding of Edward's cousin, Lady Sarah Chatto. Around this time, reports suggested Sophie had moved into Buckingham Palace, a gesture typically reserved for those about to be engaged. With their relationship out in the open, the media began pressing Edward about when he would propose. Frustrated, he once told a Radio Times reporter that the more people stayed quiet, the more likely it would happen. Privately, royal believed that Princess Diana's controversial panorama interview in 1995 caused a delay in Edward and Sophie's engagement plans. However, love eventually prevailed. During a winter vacation in the Bahamas, Edward proposed after 5 years of dating. Though the announcement followed shortly after, the Sun leaked the news early. Reflecting on the delay, Edward said he couldn't explain it. He just knew it wouldn't have felt right before, and doubted Sophie would have accepted his proposal any sooner. On June 19, 1999, the couple married at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. Unlike other royal weddings, theirs was more intimate and relaxed. with just 500 guests in attendance. The service began at 5 p.m., and guests weren't required to wear hats, though the Queen Mother still chose to. Prince Edward made an unconventional decision by turning down a dukedom at the time of his marriage. Instead, he chose the title Earl of Wessex, a name that caught his attention from a noble-sounding character in the film Shakespeare in Love. His wife, Sophie, despite her background in public relations, experienced a rocky introduction to the media spotlight. One particularly damaging incident involved a sting operation conducted by the News of the World, where a fake sheik tricked her into making unguarded comments. These remarks, which included criticisms of senior royals such as Charles and Camilla, as well as Cherie Blair, sparked significant controversy. The situation worsened when suggestions emerged that Sophie may have been using her royal status to benefit her PR firm. As a result, she resigned from her company, RJH, not long after. Edward also stepped away from his own venture, a production company called Ardent, which had struggled to gain traction. From that point forward, both he and Sophie committed themselves entirely to their royal roles. Their home life was also met with difficult moments. In 2001, Sophie faced a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy. 2 years later, their daughter Louise was born prematurely by emergency C-section due to a placental abruption. Edward was abroad on royal duties in Mauritius and could not be there for the birth. But Queen Elizabeth made a rare personal visit to Sophie in the hospital, a gesture that spoke volumes. The couple chose not to give their daughter the title of Princess, naming her Lady Louise Windsor instead. In 2007, they welcomed their second child, a son named James. Although he was entitled to be called a prince, Edward and Sophie chose to give him the title Viscount Severn, a reflection of Edward's then status as an earl. Over the years, the couple gradually became one of the royal family's most trusted and consistent presences. They performed their roles with quiet dignity, often stepping in during crucial times, such as after the deaths of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth. Their children have begun to establish lives of their own. Lady Louise is currently attending the University of St. Andrews, while James still resides at home. A long-awaited moment arrived on March 10, 2023, Edward's 59th birthday, when King Charles formally bestowed upon him the title of Duke of Edinburgh, a title previously held by their father, Prince Philip. Sophie became the Duchess of Edinburgh, and the honor was said to have deeply moved them both. It was a meaningful, symbolic moment that fulfilled Prince Philip's hope for his youngest son to carry on his title and legacy. That June, in celebration of their 24th wedding anniversary, Edward and Sophie returned to St. George's Chapel, the site of their wedding, for the annual Order of the Garter ceremony. They appeared alongside King Charles, Queen Camilla, Princess Anne, and the Prince and Princess of Wales. Sophie captivated onlookers in a stunning Amelia Wickstead dress, complemented by a Philip Tracy hat and a Strathberry bag, while Edward donned his ceremonial robes. Their royal journey hasn't been without challenges: early missteps with the media, moments of personal grief, and the constant pressures of public life. Yet through it all, Edward and Sophie have demonstrated quiet resilience and unwavering commitment. Though they've never sought the spotlight, they've built a life centered on duty, unity, and mutual respect. Now, as their children grow older, and their royal responsibilities expand, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh stand as one of the most dependable foundations of the monarchy. Their enduring bond remains visible. They still look at each other with the same affection, admiration, and trust they shared on their wedding day. It's a rare connection, even within royal circles. Beyond his personal life, Edward has carved out a meaningful path of public service. His legacy has grown steadily, not through spectacle or controversy, but through dedicated and impactful work. He has placed a strong focus on causes that support young people, education, sports, and the arts. One of his most notable contributions has been his involvement with the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. This international program helps young individuals build confidence, resilience, and life skills. Edward's commitment to the initiative began long before Prince Philip retired, showing his deep and lasting dedication to continuing his father's mission and reaching generations to come. In the 1980s, he began his involvement as a trustee, later taking on the role of chair of the International Council. By 2015, he was leading the global foundation responsible for overseeing the award. In 2023, he was officially appointed as the award's patron, a position that always seemed meant for him, but his connection to the program goes beyond formality. In 1986, Edward completed the gold level of the award himself by trekking 60 miles across the Scottish Highlands. That adventure left a lasting impression on him. Years later, he raised over £2 million for the program by playing real tennis on all 50 real tennis courts around the world, an achievement no one else has matched. His dedication to the award has taken him across the globe. From Ghana to Israel, Kenya to Chile, Edward has personally met with young participants, handed out certificates, attended local events, and listened to inspiring stories of perseverance and personal growth. In Ghana, he stood beside the country's president to present awards, and in Baltimore, He encouraged students from underprivileged backgrounds to get involved in the program. His presence isn't just symbolic, he plays an active and meaningful role. Beyond youth work, Edward's charitable efforts span more than 70 organizations, especially in the fields of arts, education, and sports. He serves as patron to the National Youth Theatre, the London Mozart Players, Northern Ballet, and the British Paralympic Association. His support extends to orchestras, drama institutions, and athletic groups, helping them expand their outreach and impact. In 1999, he and his wife Sophie established the Wessex Youth Trust to aid children-focused charities. This initiative later evolved into the Earl and Countess of Wessex Charitable Trust, broadening its scope while remaining committed to helping those most in need gain better opportunities. Edward has also assumed many responsibilities once held by his late father, particularly those tied to the Commonwealth. He officiated the opening of the Commonwealth Games in both 1990 and 1998 and became vice patron of the Games Federation. In 2006, representing the Crown, he has traveled extensively from Australia and the Caribbean to Sri Lanka and South Africa, filling in wherever needed. In 2023, after becoming the Duke of Edinburgh on his 59th birthday, Edward and Sophie visited Edinburgh to connect with Ukrainian and Eastern European communities displaced by war, demonstrating their enduring commitment to those in crisis. Not every chapter of his public life has been without controversy. In 2011, a visit to Bahrain drew criticism when the couple accepted jewelry from the ruling family, raising concerns due to the country's human rights record. However, unlike some other royals, Edward has mostly avoided the limelight, preferring to focus quietly on his responsibilities rather than attracting attention. More recently, he has stepped into even more of Prince Philip's former roles, such as becoming president of the Royal Windsor Horse Show and patron of London Youth Group supported by his father for over 7 decades. He also twice served as Lord High Commissioner to the Church of Scotland, representing the King in a personal capacity. In 2019, he was granted the title Earl of Forfar, and during a visit to the town, he received a custom-designed tartan in his honor. It was a symbolic but heartfelt gesture that reflected his long-standing commitment to engaging with local communities, something he has consistently done throughout his royal journey. Edward may not dominate headlines like others in the royal family, but he has proven to be one of the most steadfast and dedicated. While others may seek attention or become entangled in scandal, he has continued working diligently, raising funds, supporting the arts, engaging with youth, and championing causes that truly matter to him. Through these efforts, Edward has quietly built a legacy of substance and longevity. What do you think of Prince Edward? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click the next video on your screen to keep watching.